Toronto is in the education system, and we say it every single day. We have to break the cycle of our education because it hasn't worked, and I think it can be a stronger vehicle if we kind of step outside that box and look at it from a different perspective. I've seen a lot of young teachers come with the energy and the drive and the willingness to make a difference. And they've been shut down by the system. And I think the doors are open to that system and there is room for change. So working with the First Nations and embracing what we have to offer will, heighten not only their experience, but certainly the kids' experience.
I think there's I think there's still a stigma around school for those parents who have children in school today, and that stigma has been passed on to those young people about how school was for their parents and how it is now for them. It's still a challenge for the youth to be able to be in school. I think it's important to have Toronto involved in the lives of young people. This is our homeland. This is where we come from, and it's important that people who weren't born and raised here identify with the fact that there were people who lived here, for thousands of years.
The self-government agreement is mandated by Chapter 24 of the final agreement. And Chapter 24 has a section called Devolution, and it basically says that the government of Yukon and the Yukon First Nations may negotiate the dividing and sharing of responsibility in regards to a number of programs. And the program heads would be education, health and social services, justice, and economic development. Because when it comes to education in the self-government world, the Trundiquitchin and Yukon have concurrent jurisdiction. They both have jurisdiction over education. So the Trundiquitchin are able to make laws regarding education and to set up their own education system if they want, but they didn't want that. They wanted a united system, a merged system, essentially a marriage between the Trundiquitchin and the government of Yukon, where each would be equal partners and, in essence, enter into a co-management system, or even call it co-governance when it comes to education.
This is a really unique agreement because there aren't any other Yukon First Nations that have had the ability to put such an agreement in place. So it really, I think, places quite a bit of weight on the partnership between TH and Yukon government in education. And so the work that I'm able to do with the school, with Robert Service School, is really empowered by that. We take this partnership very seriously.
Many people have observed, look, there's only 35,000 people in the Yukon. You can't have 14 or 15 different governments. It's just inefficient. The Trundiquitchin population is made up of about 1,000 citizens. So, how much government can you have for 1,000 citizens? And that's a very good point. And I think that some of those observations are legitimate, but I think the answer lies in shared arrangements. That, we've got the same jurisdiction over programs and services that the government of Yukon has. And in fact, some would say the Yukon First Nation jurisdiction is stronger because in the event of a conflict, our laws prevail over Yukon government laws. So the answer is to work together, as we're trying to do and as we are doing in education.
There's been a lot of great changes that have happened over the last few years, and I think it's really made great strides for Toronto to get into the school environment. and it started with a education agreement. So there's some key points that this agreement will address. And one of the ones we've been struggling with for many years is allowing our children to participate in fall harvest. You know, our camps are very important.
What we've been able to do is work with the Department of Education to put accreditation towards that, so students can participate in the camps and get credit that counts towards their high school graduation.
We have the first hunt, we have the moose hunt, we have the first fish camp, we have a spring camp, and then we're working on the accreditation process for the first trapper program. So all of these we've accredited, 3 of really the 5 that we organize for the school.
But those just happen to be the activity, the sort of obvious on the surface activity that motivates people to go out at those times of year. But that's not what the camps are really teaching the kids. What they're learning out there is how to be good members of your community, how to take responsibility for yourself, how to make smart decisions, how to look out for other people and be safe, how to be respectful of elders, how to listen and learn from the larger world when it's not just being talked into your head.
It works really well because at camps we encourage elders to be involved. More than anything, we would like for elders to become involved, inviting them to camp, and they can become involved with students. I know at Moose Camp that a couple years ago, Georgette had invited 2 elders from another community that spend all the time. They didn't go hunting with the students. Maybe they go for other stuff like that, but they're at camp. That when the youth brought in moose and they were there watching them, they were there to guide them as they skin it and butcher it up. They talked to them as they were telling stories and how he learned and what they did a long time ago and all these good stories that came with it.
When you come back from those things, it's very, very easy to have students write because you've just given them a topic that they've sort of smelt and saw and heard and really connected with, and so their writing becomes really genuine, and that's a really good writing opportunity. And then the mathematics of it too, when they're doing scale or ratios.
I think it's the way we learn. You know, when we were young, we sat around our grandmas. Our grandmas raised us, and we sat around and we watched and we knew what was expected of us, and our job those days was to listen, watch and listen, and one day it'll be your turn to actually do it. And you may hear a story 100 times, but be prepared to sit there, be patient, and listen to that story. Because every time you hear that story, you're going to hear something new as you develop and grow as a human being. Something else will come out of value.
And I can't pronounce it right, but parable, you don't tell complete it. You have to learn as you're growing up, because if they tell you complete, you got nothing to think about what they're going to leave. So you know exactly as you're growing up, oh, that's what they mean.
If the knowledge is not getting passed on the way it should be, then you're losing that ability to be able to live fully in the life. And when he's talking about the wolf, he was talking about that the wolf helps to keep other animals healthy, and the wolf they do he says, when they're killing off the wolf, they're killing off the trainers, and basically it's like killing off an elder. And with the hardships that the community has had in in all communities, and losing elders and losing those trainers, you're losing a good part of your culture.
I think we have to start playing. I think we have to start playing God. Let the Mother Earth control them. They killed a wolf. Shoot the wolf without question. They shoot the mother wolf. He's a trainer of his young one. Show him how to kill. Show him how to keep the animal healthy. All this they do is wrong. Now caribou is no good. You shoot them, good meat, one cook. 2-3 days is too old to eat. See what I mean? The wolf, if he's trained by his mother, they don't kill until the whole bunch of caribou running. If one goes inside, that's one they take, because he's a weak one. Because all the caribou healthy ones are strong. So they always keep them healthy. But now it's not like that. So there's a lot that we got to teach for the future.
The Big Dipper story started 3 years ago with the past CELC, and so the project kind of started was the grade 3 class worked on a part of the unit was called constellations. So the teacher in the past CELC said, let's do a camp, and let's go out to the Dempster, and let's turn this into a couple-day camp, and let's go out and learn, and let's have an elder come and talk about the Big Dipper, and talking about this such a great project and just sort of a great camp all around. And she said, well, why don't we make a book? So this is the book, and story of Big Dipper, and right now it's being edited. So there's a couple edits in there right now. And this is the Han language, and right now it's sent over to the Han language coordinator, and also the Han language teachers here at the school. So they're doing all the Han language translations and making sure everything is correct. And this is Archie Roberts, and he told the story. So we used his story. At the end here, we make sure that we do a little "We Are the Toronto Gwich'in." Oh yeah, that's the project, and we're hoping that maybe not this year, but maybe next year we can do another project once this one finishes up.
Chongre, Angie Joseph Rear, Dawson Mooside Hooch N. I live in Dawson. Joe Susie Shichat. Ra Susan Joseph Shinya DJ.
Our elders say that we cannot separate our culture from our language and vice versa, and so we don't want to ever teach our language sitting in a classroom stagnant, and so we want to the language always has to be connected to the activities that we're teaching, and so that it's always directly related to curriculum that is being done in science and social studies, and so the language can be used. And so in that aspect, if we want culture in the classroom and learning about our area, then the language needs to be taught at the same time.
It's a challenging program, and I like the challenge. We work closely with the elders, and right now currently we have an elder, Percy Henry, who is the sole language specialist that work with us. I'm not saying he's not the only fluent speaker. We have another one, but he's one that step up to the plate and help us all the way. We learn to do the writing. We write our language now. It's oral, and we put it on paper, which is really good. because of the technology today, we can speak on here and people can hear us. If you went down to New Zealand and you go on the web and you can go into you can Native Language Center and punch in on and you can learn our language.
I think it's important that Canada do learn what happened to natives, to Indigenous people, because it's been a long time for living under the suppression of the government since 1800s, 1850s to the 1960, 79 or something like that, when the last residential school closed down. That's a long, long time. Because my mother went there, and then all of all of my generation had gone through, every one of my mother's family and my dad's family. We all went there.
In the 1970s. That's not too long ago, so it was really hard on a lot of people, and a lot of people, when they came back to their communities, of course they're coming back to their communities with the whole host of social issues, and the relationships were broken between families and between members in the community, and people were really struggling or having a hard time. And
some of us as residential school survivors, we developed this what we call scrapbook. That's telling our story as well. We, as a group at the time, we we shared photos, and we talk about our experiences, and we put this scrapbook together. So now, and it was a pilot project that they took to the school last year, and of course they have counselor available for students as well when they went through that scrapbook. And now it's going to be other parts of Yukon. It's going to be in schools.
And Dawson is, in a lot of ways, miles ahead of any other First Nation in the Yukon, because we have gone through some of the healing journey. Our elders are healing, and they've actually created a book called the Kanacha book. And so they're realizing now the importance of educating our future generations, because the impacts of residential school is so broad, and it has impacted, and it still continues to impact even the kids that go to school today. So it's not a one or two generation, it's still continuing. So we felt it was important that we implement residential school not just in one class, one subject, but from K to 12. They need to have a full understanding of the dynamics of a residential school effects.
It was a real shame for what Canada did to us. So that's why it's very important, for your First Nations to in both languages, for our sake, for the First Nations,
think any new teacher that comes to teach in Dawson needs to embrace that they're in a northern community, first of all, and to really spend the time and energy to understand the community and the dynamics of the community, to reach beyond your classroom and to really embrace those children that you have with you, because they do bring a lot of value and interest. Some may be good and some may be bad, but and if you treat them with respect and talk with them and to them, I think you will get a lot farther.
You know, we want to make sure that teachers want to participate in that experience as well. And so it's really important that teachers honor that kind of an event or activity and make a point of trying to be there and be able to appreciate and enjoy every aspect of what's being offered to them. It's a treasure, you know, it's a unique, tailored opportunity that they can get from the local community. And so I think it is important that teachers place value on that and ensure that they do what's necessary to make that outreach with their community.
Yeah, I just encourage new teachers to get out there and, you know, inform themselves and spend time with elders and citizens and ask questions and patiently wait for answers. That's one of the things that I learned the most was I ask a question and I expect someone to answer me right away. Like some First Nation citizens and elders want to think about that question before they rush a response back to you, and that's been one of the things that I think I most appreciate. They're these really thoughtful answers instead of just, you know, this immediateness that we're so used to. So some of us are so used to. So yeah, I love working for Chunkwichin, and yeah, I love being part of the community.
To come into the community of Dawson, I think it's important to make friends with Chunkwichin. Start there.
People are strengthened basically from the inside out when they come here. And there's not a person who doesn't notice the vastness of the land and the color of the skies, and the old phrases about the magic and the mystery of the Yukon is really true. And there's some people that can't leave here because they're so connected to the land and to the light and to their neighbors too. But it becomes a little bit of a solitary learning experience or journey that you just end up sharing with other people, and that does help keep you connected. But I've been happily here for 35 years, and you can take the person out of the Yukon, the cliche is, but you can't take the Yukon out of the person, and that always seems to have a pull. And I think new teachers would love it here. They should give it a try. And that's it.
And the few teachers that I remember that really impacted me made things interesting. They told a story. And that's what our people are about. It's about telling stories. You know, it's weaving different things together and making it interesting. And it gets your mind thinking. And, you know, we're very visual people sometimes. And when you tell a story and lay out the land or the scenery, people can go there and they can really, really embrace that. And I think that learning is way more valuable than just being told. You know, history was not my subject, but I went into a social studies class and I was just blown away. And it's just by the way the teacher taught the class. So, be storytellers. That's it.